Welcome back to Radio Entrepreneurs. I'm producer Nathan Gobes, filling in for JDavis this morning. I'm excited to be back with another of our esteemed reporters, Phil Sharkey of the Higher Authority. Welcome back, Phil.
Thank you, Nathan. I appreciate it. It's always great to have these segments with you guys at Radio Entrepreneurs. And I think I have something interesting for you today. I was going to talk to you, Nathan, about resumes. I prefer, as a background screener working for my clients, I would prefer to have a job application, as that gives me the best information to do my abilities to my best. But so many of our clients, Nathan, just send us a resume. I'd say probably 70% of my clients send a resume only. So that's what I work off of. And I have something interesting here from a monster.com research on resumes, if I could read to you, my friend.
Sure.
This was according to the monsters.com Outlook survey of 2021, that 66% of employers agree that candidates exaggerate skills and competencies on their resumes. So in fact, they believe that 66% falsify or lie on their resume, which is a huge number. And then they followed that up with a survey of 400 applicants, as well as 400 hiring managers and HR professionals. This was through the Checkstar, and they found a whopping 78% of the applicants stretched the truths about themselves. So they think it's somewhere in the neighborhood, again, of 66 to 78% of people are stretching the truth on their resume. Now, Nathan, I know sometimes a resume gives you the latitude to put yourself in the best light possible. But when you cross that line and you falsify, it's just going to cause you great harm, and you're not going to get very far, either with a recruiter or screening companies like ourselves. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah, that makes sense.
We do find that here's how they broke it down for you, Nathan. So they said they had 5 bullet points within the lines. They said 60% said they had a mastery in skills that they had basic knowledge of, or absolutely had no knowledge of at all. Over 50% said they had worked at some jobs longer in order to omit an employer. That's a big thing for me as a background screener. I often see they will stretch employment periods to be much longer and hide an employer. And you don't have to be, I don't have to deputize you and make you an investigator, but the reason they hide an employer, usually things went poorly there. They were terminated and such. 45% they said gave a false reason for leaving a job. Get that all the time, where they'll put down, that they left for laid off, lack of work, and one simple call, and we find out it was job abandonment, or they were terminated for a cause. So now they're a liar. 42.25% made up relevant experience. 41% use a director's title when the actual title was a manager or lower. And that happens immensely. So again, I'm not just talking to the hiring people out there, but also the people doing a resume. When you make these claims, and maybe, for a day or two, you stepped up and did another part of the job. But if you're not being honest about your title, it's going to come back to bite you something major, and they will pull an offer from you. Or even after the fact, I've seen some clients terminate someone who's already started when information surfaced on the resume that was falsified.
Yeah, some of these things can certainly be major. Discrepancies, like you said, director title versus manager. Manager might just be, 1 or 2 people, whereas director implies, you've got a whole division underneath you. These are very different things. And I think, a lot of people have seen, whether it's a coworker or somebody that, came into the job that claiming they had this and that. And then once they get on the job site, it's not quite what they said.
It's so true. And again, I see the edge. I see the reason why. And they add to this survey that the newsflash, they said companies will check your credentials. So again, I know why people do this. In fact, they mentioned a Kim Isaac. She's Monster's resume expert. And she said they do because there's a fear of not being good enough, a fear of not measuring up to their peers, a fear of not getting called back for interviews. Some people do whatever it takes to get an edge, but they also point out that it will come back to get them, and the interviewer will do a background screen even after the fact, and it may get you in the door, but in the long run, it's going to cause you big time harm. And they've even had some people way late in their career, there might be a merger within companies and they do a background check. I've done it many times myself, and it comes back that the resume is falsified, and the people have been harmed. They've had to give back relative pay, and things will happen. You don't win in the long run. You're taking one heck of a risk, I guess, is the point.
Yeah, that's definitely serious. So, as you alluded to, all of these are things that the higher authority could check in on for employers, looking at their prospective employees or even current employees, as you said.
It is, Nathan. It's part of our standard workup, so to speak. And I often tell people that they're worried about time. Our standard background check takes 3 business days. So you're not going to lose an applicant. You're not going to lose a lot of time in the hiring process to just make sure they are who they say they are. You and I are talking today, and you stick out your hand. You say, "Hi, I'm Nathan, and I'm lying to you," or "Hello, I'm putting my best foot forward, and this is who I am." And when they check that out, they'll come to see that. They did add the 3 most common resume lies are education embellishments. Um, Obviously, they've had people who falsified a degree or claimed a degree from a school that is not where they went. Date deception, which I find a lot as well, which they commonly will stretch dates to cover those jobs we talked about. And then finally, the number 3 is skill stretching, where they will claim obviously skills that are way above what they really possess. And it will come out to be found that that's not the fact. So a quality screening program will eliminate that problem. Nothing worse for an employer to have to bring someone on board and then terminate them for cause for falsifying. That's why we say use us in a pre-employment environment. 3 days is all you need to give me, and we'll come back to you with finding out whether you got an honest person there or not.
Yeah, having to terminate somebody after you've hired them, that's, lost time that you spent training this employee. You have to go back to square one to, hit the ground again looking at resumes. Seems much easier and much more cost effective to reach out to the authority beforehand, the higher authority.
Absolutely. It's just a lot less grief and problems and the whole employee population, the scuttlebutt and the talk and everything. It's much better to bring somebody on board that's been vetted thoroughly and you feel good going forward, as does the person who, signed off on the background check. They feel they're going into a company that's worth their while and has got all their ducks in order. It's a good relationship both ways.
Yeah, and I think that's that much more important now as we're, wrapping up 2021, heading into 2022. We're experiencing, as many people have called it, the Great Resignation. Lots of employers are looking to fill those gaps. No reason to fill it with somebody that either is not going to hold up to what you were hoping for or what you expected, what you're paying them for. Obviously, a lot of people are setting their salary rates. A lot of employers are setting their employees' salary rates based on the skills, the experience, etc., that an employee states that they have on their resume. So, setting up somebody for all of that and then just to have to let them go shortly afterwards or have them fall short is not what any employer wants right now.
It's so true, Nathan. And also, I see a lot of now we've talked in the past where, don't let your best practices, your best hiring guidelines slide. Continue to do your due diligence. If you let it slide now as an employer, an entrepreneur, the whole thing breaks down. So just because we're desperate finding people for certain positions doesn't mean you still should do a quality background check to make sure they are who they say they are.
Of course, of course. Any additional closing thoughts you have for us to end out the year, start the new year?
I do, in fact, Nathan, I do. And of course, going with, me being the Grinch and being quite jaded, I have a Santa story for you.
You got your green shirt on too.
I do, just to fit the point, but not so merry of a story here, and somewhat quite shocking, actually. So it was found that a level 2 sex offender was found to be working as a Santa this year at the Burlington and Pheasant Lane malls. So again, this is a level 2, and that's the more severe level. So this was working for the Simon Properties Group, the Burlington and Pheasant Lane Mall. And if this can happen in a mall hiring a Santa, it can happen to any business. You really can't afford to skip a background check on a man who's, dealing with the children and being so close to them. It's quite shocking, actually. And it just goes to show you, if you turn your head and say, well, I just got to make a quick snap decision, you could get into a real bad situation. So there's my bad news of the day. Everyone should at least go through a background check. It just has to be done today.
Yeah, sheesh, happy holidays for for real.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Spread the cheer.
I have
Sure.
heard that there is a great need for those mall Santas. There's many vacancies there, so many even in that industry, employers are facing the effects of this Great Resignation. But as you said, no reason to jump on the first person that comes in without looking at them more thoroughly.
Exactly. And again, you can reach out to us right here, the Hire Authority, on the internet at www.hireoff.com, or call our offices at 508-230-5901. Just ask for myself or any of the staff, and we'll be glad to set up a program right away for you. It's very easy to come on board.
Great. That saves me the trouble of the usual question of how do people reach you. It's because Phil's a professional and a regular here on our show, which means you can find him on radioentrepreneurs.com, as well as on YouTube, LinkedIn, all of the other sites that we're streaming on. If you like Phil's commentary, his regular updates, be sure to hit like, share, subscribe, comment, hit that bell button on YouTube that gives you notifications when new content comes out. All of it helps our show immensely, and we really appreciate it. And it'll keep you up to date on all of the trending topics in hiring, staffing, screening, etc., and all the other shows that we stream. I want to thank our listeners and viewers for joining us. Of course, I want to thank you, Phil, for joining us. Happy holidays, and hope you have a great rest of your new year.
Thank you, Nathan. Same to you as well. Take care now.
Thanks. We'll be back on Radio Entrepreneurs after this break.